Ripples at Work is an online initiative that aims to trial and refine a new educational model with the goal of establishing an online knowledge production tournament, Ripples at Work Games. I'm Dr. Lena Redman, Russian-born Australian independent educational researcher, and I invite you to this exploratory and, as you will see, groundbreaking project. In the year 2016, the Oxford Dictionaries declared the term post-truth its word of the year. This marked the emergence of a new cultural trend. Public opinion was no longer shaped by objective facts, but rather by what a particular group of people was more inclined to believe. Over the next 4 years, the words of the year after 2016's post-truth were 2017, youthquake, 2018, toxic, 2019, climate emergency, 2020, unprecedented. So, post-truth, youthquake, toxic, climate emergency, unprecedented. This is the legacy of the altered consciousness of post-truth. This is the unprecedented fake news, toxic cultural ecosystem from which the young try to break, but which holds the world firmly in the claws of falsehood, hyperbole, bias, and disinformation. This is also the social environment we have to prepare our children not just to survive in, but to resist and overcome. The Ripples at Work model for teaching and learning takes this cultural development seriously from the very beginning. I developed the Ripples at Work model during my doctoral studies at Monash University, Australia. As I've already mentioned, I was born and grew up in Russia, and no matter how long I've lived in Australia, I can't quite drop my accent. In addressing this issue, I'm awfully grateful to our smart modern technology that provides us with the modest but very handy tools, subtitles. So if something is not as clear as you might like, I apologize, but I also know that you have a reliable tool to help you. Moreover, time is not lost for busy people. With subtitles, you can watch my videos in silent mode while commuting to work or when you have spare minutes in your busy schedule. People with hearing problems who might be looking for more inclusive ways of teaching and learning are also most welcome. It would be great to know your opinions on various aspects of the model and its usefulness in solving some of your concerns in the area of education. There also could be people who are not very confident in understanding English, but interested in the Ripples at Work project, and I hope the subtitles will assist them in staying in the fold. Why am I explaining these obvious things? Well, by doing so, I'm heading to the point I want to make, which is that the Ripples at Work conception of the world and learning about it hinges on the principle of the continuous remixing and interrippling of diverse facets of life in accordance with the surrounding conditions. The Ripples at Work model of learning is a system of inclusion, not exclusion. Therefore, the development of the Ripples at Work package, the form, as well as the content, is guided by an aspiration to break existing boundaries, to strive for expansion and inclusion of what in the pre-digital age was not possible to expand or include. So, the ripples at work concept of the world is based on the interrippling of all aspects of life. In the pre-digital age, we couldn't see much of this dynamic outside our immediate surroundings. Now, with eyes stuck to the screens of mobile devices or computers, we find ourselves caught in the realm of a shared digitized web. Sometimes more involved in what is happening in its dense netting than in our physical proximity. Before the computer age, the teacher used to illustrate points by making raspy chalk scribbles on a blackboard, as if sealing the space of interactions inside an invisible triangle: the teacher, the students, and the information on the board. Now, the classroom's blackboard has been replaced with a smart interactive board that allows the teacher to make connections with a much wider environment. In the Ripples at Work videos, I'm drawing on this synergy by turning my left-hand side and your right-hand side of the screen into an interactive space of digital world that is trying to continuously connect with us, whether we like it or not. I set it up like this not to annoy you, but to represent the world as it is today. My message is that irrespective of what we might wish, modern reality doesn't just open new ways of working and socializing, but is continuously at work changing our processes of thought. Maybe our traditional understanding of the way the mind works in a focused, step-by-step, linear progression is not a true reflection of reality. Thoughts are never ducks moving in a row. Thoughts are fleeting, often disjoint, repeatedly overlapping and dropping in the midst of others as if from nowhere, making us suddenly remember colors, smells, movements, and touches we experienced in the past. In pursuit of goals through the evolutionary struggle, we've learned, and are still learning of course, a strategy of differentiating, taming, framing and focusing our thinking. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to achieve anything. At the present time, as humans are on a quest to develop artificial intelligence, we seem to have created an environment that resembles and hugely magnifies the natural chaotics of the mind. Previously invisible thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions hidden in different parts of the world have now come out in the open, enhanced with images and sounds, knocking at the protective walls of everyone's thinking, disturbing our fragile equilibrium. As from a broken beehive, a swarm of bits of information is surging through the invisible veins of the World Wide Web and into our lives through our open screens. All important, all urgent, and all engaging us in their undercover games. That is the environment where our wide-eyed and over-trusting children are now growing into citizens, workers, and parents. And this is one of the central places from where our sense of responsibility has to grow and our sense of urgency needs to arise. Instead of safeguarding our classrooms from the torrents of swiftly moving particles of information, ideas, images, sounds, we need to develop a new strategy for every individual in their unique way, not only to cope with, but take charge of these conditions and turn them into a positive channel. That is, I believe, the task of modern education, and that is what the Ripples at Work model attempts to achieve. As I turned my left and your right hand side of the screen into a window, as if allowing the World Wide Web to interact with the flow of information I present, I also turned it into a platform for representational remix. This window is a porthole into a world rippling with the continual emergence of new patterns and hybridized forms that lead to new possibilities. It is a world of a dynamic complexity and deep remixability of natural, social, and technological dimensions. By creating this ongoing presence of the remixing environment, I am emphasizing the essential feature, its multimodality, a new cultural norm of communication. Images, movements, and sounds are continuously remixed to create representations, sometimes literal and sometimes conceptual, of the topic I am discussing. I will prepare a separate video about multimodality being a critical aspect of modern communication. But for now, I just felt it was important for you to be aware that what is happening on the screen is my way of practicing what I preach. By offering the superficial understanding and quick fixes that we are so used to in modern society, we have created a culture of booming conspiracy theories, post-truth, alternative facts, cluster bomb sensationalism, possessiveness, and I don't care psychology. All the bragging promises to show you something that is super duper easy, quick and free, like a few rubs on the side of the bottle to summon a genie, have brought us at what we can describe as a crisis of society. Ripples at Work is a model that defies the logic of quick, cool tips and band-aid solutions. It is committed to a deep philosophical consideration of who we as humans are at the dawn of a technological era that threatens to completely redefine our human nature. Arguing against silver bullet psychology, the Ripples at Work trials seek to refine the model and, if it is not yet possible to perfect it, at least to set it on the right path towards being a reliable system of learning for future generations. The Ripples at Work model of learning was developed to address our contemporary conditions, which are changeable, complex, and extremely competitive. To attune an educational model to such conditions requires an understanding of the current state of social affairs as well as the psychology of the contemporary learner. And this is what my videos are about. So, these videos are going against the grain and defying the cultural trope of delivering messages in silver bullet fixes. And I believe this defiance format is a message in itself. The superficiality and easy remixes that are the cultural norm need to be challenged by a genuine striving towards an understanding of the world and the meaning of life. I believe that the explanation of the Ripples at Work model has to be transparent and specific in demonstrating the fiber from which it is made and the techniques that I use to knit it together. It is the particularity of the threads and the characteristics of the patterns that help us to distinguish between the sticky spiderwebs of conspiracy theories and other lies and disinformation on the one hand, and the quality fabric that is woven from finely spun fiber on the other. As philosopher Donna J. Haraway put it so elegantly, it matters what matters we use to think other matters with. It matters what stories we tell to tell other stories with. It matters what notes, not notes. What thoughts, think thoughts. What descriptions, describe descriptions. And what ties, tie ties. It matters what stories make worlds and what worlds make stories. So it matters from what theories I spun the ripples at work learning model. And I want you to know what they are and how they will work together in our trials. And that's why I have produced these 10 videos for you to watch prior to the beginning of the trials. If you are interested to become co-designers or and co-hosts of the forthcoming games, it is very important for you to be well informed about how the model works. And whatever expertise, parenting, teaching, researching, citizenry, science knowledge, or life experience you bring to the trials, it is invaluable. If you watch these videos for the purpose of improving either your professional or parenting practices, I hope some aspects of the ripples at work will come useful for in whatever undertakings you are planning to integrate them. So, visit the Ripples at Work Facebook page where you can find printable pages that accompany each video. Fill in the form to register yourself as a participant, and we will see each other soon and work together to design a learning model that doesn't stop when formal education ends but ripples through